Hey guys, I hope you're all doing very well. I just got back from Tokyo Game Show and I wanted to give you my first impressions of Ananta, which just might be the most ambitious anime game I've seen in a long time, because I can't really call this a gacha game because there's no gacha in it. So what am I going to call it? I'm just going to call it like an anime live service game. But for now, I'm just going to say anime game. But before I begin, I have to say that even though I was given some merchandise before playing, this video is not sponsored and all thoughts and opinions are my own. With that being said, how was it? The game formerly known as Project Mugen, now going by Ananta. As I said, I got hands-on with an early demo at Tokyo Game Show for about 45 minutes or so, playing through a short story quest which functioned as a tutorial before being allowed to roam free in the open world to do basically anything. There was a lot I liked, and thinking about it right now, I can't really think of anything I didn't like. Not to say it was perfect, definitely not. There were still a lot of things I feel they could improve on, things that they could expand on, etc. But for now, let's just start with the good. When I sat down to play Ananta, I wasn't really expecting much beyond good for an anime game. I mean, we all have these kinds of expectations for these kinds of games. The trailers look nice, sure, but we've all seen flashy trailers that really don't deliver on actual release. In fact, that was a concern I had going in, as the trailers so far hadn't really shown much in terms of gameplay footage up until that point. But right from the start though, Ananta felt different. The level of polish, the presentation, the overall game feel, this didn't feel like a mobile port or a budget anime title or something. It felt like a legit AAA experience, which might be due to the fact that it feels like a mashup of other AAA titles like Spider-Man, Grand Theft Auto, Watch Dogs, etc. But in my opinion, I honestly don't really care about that. I've been saying for years, I don't care what games copy as long as they copy the good stuff and doing it right. And let me tell you, this game is doing a lot right. So let's talk about the combat, which was the first thing I was dropped into when starting the story mode. Bursting out of a bar or something, then surrounded by bad guys which you have to consequentially beat up. This is where Ananta completely breaks away from what we usually expect from these kinds of anime games. Instead of spamming flashy skills and ultimates, it's all about this fluid and responsive and visceral combat. You've got hand-to-hand melee with parries and counters like Batman, but also including an interesting dodge thing where you kind of phase out of existence for like a split second. It was kind of fun to watch. And there's also environmental kills like smashing enemies into walls, through car windows, into dumpsters, etc. like Sleeping Dogs, if any of you have played that. And even though there are no skills and ultimates like you might be expecting, there are still superpowers like these venom-like tendrils and telekinesis like from Spider-Man, and an entire range of firearms to choose from pistols to SMGs like in GTA. It's brutal and it feels amazing. The only real downside right now is I think that the guns are a little bit too OP. Unless there's a handicap in the story that prevents you from using guns, there's very little incentive to go hand to hand when a few shots ends fights quite instantly. So unless they balance that in the future, I'll probably be gunning down everyone from a safe distance. Still though, the versatility is wild, and the sheer variety makes every encounter feel fresh. But speaking of the story as well, the story mode was really impressive. I mentioned earlier about the story starting in the middle of a fight, but you don't just get dropped into the middle of a fight. You start in a full-on cinematic brawl, and after that you get picked up in a car by a hot fox girl, only to continue on into a car chase that looks and feels like a blockbuster anime scene, taking out enemies either by shooting them at them directly, or making gas tanks explode, or shooting at their tires, which I really enjoy particularly doing. And then there's also this massive meat grinder type vehicle which you have to take out after getting dragged around for quite a while. During this section there's actually quite a few quick-time events that you can actually fail, which adds a really nice sense of tension and consequence to your actions. Either you pass the QTE and you maneuver out of the way of the obstacles, or you fail and you crash through those obstacles spectacularly. You still continue getting dragged along and the story doesn't reset, but I like that there is actually some difference to either failing or passing these for once. The pacing was also really quite good as well, really quite excellent. And even though we can only play part of the story, about 10-15 minutes or so in total, you can already tell there's a deeper narrative at work. The story itself was immersive, stylish, and most importantly, interactive. If they keep this level of excitement and intrigue throughout the rest of the story going forward, I think many players will be really happy with this. And then after the story mode, I was allowed to play through this open world section where you can just go around and do whatever you like. And if you've played either GTA or, like I said, Sleeping Dogs before, you'll be in familiar territory. You can walk around, pick fights with thugs or even NPCs, steal cars, visit shops, or just roam around or swing around freely. But here's the thing, when you switch characters, you don't just snap to them, like they don't appear in place of where your current character is. The character like zooms out and moves across the city, and the character you left keeps like going on about their life while you zoom in on the character you switch to. And you might find those characters in any kind of situation, like they might be in the middle of a fight or in a bar or in a cutscene or something else like that. This gives the world a sense of continuity and life that most games don't even bother trying for. It feels like they're not just characters to choose from, but they're actually living in the world, and that the world itself is alive apart from whatever you're doing at the time. This is a huge win for like immersion, like world building and immersion of like playing through the world, and I hope they keep expanding on that system with more characters in the future. Next up, I want to talk about the customization and also a bit on the shops as well. Customization in Ananta is awesome. And the best part is, like I mentioned in a previous video, no gacha system. No gacha system for characters and no gacha system for weapons. Not even really a gacha system for the customization, not that I could see in this demo anyway. Like you can just walk into shops and buy clothes for your characters, dye them in different colors, and then you can like mix and match them and stuff like that. You can do a lot of really interesting customization. Some items are exclusive to certain characters, I think, but most are, for the most part, interchangeable. You can also buy cars, each with different stats, like different acceleration, braking, drift. Drifting was pretty fun as well, and just overall performance. And while car customization wasn't in the demo, the devs said it is planned for the full release, so I'm looking forward to that too. Honestly, between the fashion system and the upcoming vehicle mods, there is a lot of depth for people who love personalizing their characters and their world. I asked the devs if they have any plans to do collaborations with car manufacturers or clothing brands or other IP in the future, and they said it's definitely something they're open to and looking into, but nothing currently in the works that they could really tell me about. So, well, we'll just have to see about that. The next thing I want to talk about are just the characters themselves and the abilities. Like each character in Ananta plays completely differently. You've got the main character with the web slinging movement and tendril combat, and then there's also the bunny girl, Taffy, with a multicolored disco light Segway that turns into a massive hammer that she swings around and such. And then there's also the cop character as well, who brings her own like interrogation mechanics to like you can use on NPCs. But still, like each one has their own traversal and combat style. Like I said, the main character has the tendrils to swing around, Taffy has her Segway, and the cop has her police car, which is pretty cool to be honest. And because of the character switching system, they exist even when you're not playing them, like I mentioned before. It really makes the whole cast of characters feel alive. Side note, one thing I especially like about the main character is that he feels like he actually has a personality. I'm so tired of having blank slate self-insert protagonists in these anime games. So having this guy who has a charm, spitting off witty remarks, and overall just being really expressive and charismatic, I really enjoy that. But as for gameplay, having each character being so distinctive in their playstyles, it keeps things feeling fresh. So you're not stuck doing the same combos for hours upon hours. Every character brings something new to the table, and I expect in the future that each character will have their own personal set of quests and specific playstyles going on in the future. He wasn't in the demo, but Seymour looks to have more of a stealth and infiltration based gameplay like in Watch Dogs, so I'm personally looking forward to playing that. Next, I want to talk about the mini games and overall replayability that I see for the game. Now, here's where things start to get a little bit wobbly. There weren't that many mini games available to play in the open world at the time of playing through the demo. In fact, I think it was just these gang subjugation things and also the basketball minigame, which sounds cool, but it was not that great. You just hold space and release it at the right time. Like no real skill, no challenge, which is fine once, but over time it's gonna get old real quick. And that ties into my biggest concern, the replayability. Right now, Ananta is single player only, but a game like this with an open world, these minigames and customization, it needs multiplayer. And I know a lot of people out there just cringed at me saying that. The idea of playing with other people, ew, gross, right? But think about it. Imagine shooting hoops with your friends or racing against each other throughout the city or just hanging out and flexing your character's drip. Without that social layer, the game risks burning out way too fast. Which leads nicely into my next section about the multiplayer itself and future potential. So here's my wish list that I think they should really consider implementing into the game if they haven't already done so. Add multiplayer, first of all. Not mandatory multiplayer, but just optional. I think they should have 3 modes. The first mode would be the solo mode, which is the one that you currently have right now. The second mode would be a co-op mode where you can share a world with your friends and only people on your friends list. And then there's also, I think there should also be a fully global mode where you can join a server with people from all around the world to do whatever you like, i.e. like in Grand Theft Auto. And on top of making more minigames like skateboarding, snowboarding, racing, volleyball, and other sports and other things, I think they should give these minigames a PvP mode too, like, again, basketball, races, duels and such. That would be really quite cool. I don't know about leaderboards and such, but at the very least, PvP, that'd be really cool. And for the combat, I think they should balance guns versus melee as well. At this point, the only thing I can really think of is by keeping close range viable by nerfing the gun range and accuracy and damage. But I'm not really a game developer in that sense, so I'll leave it to them. I do think that guns are a bit OP at the moment, so whatever they do, I hope they kind of get these balances in range. And the last thing I can think of right now is to add more long-term content, like events, new cosmetics, co-op missions, and other collaborations as well. If they can add all this, I think this game could really succeed very well. Because this kind of world, this kind of game needs to feel full if it's to succeed. If it's just an open sandbox of nothing to do, I don't think it's going to keep players. But if they can add all these kinds of things in there and just pack it with stuff to do, it should be alright. If they deliver on the multiplayer and polish those weak spots I mentioned, Ananta could seriously redefine anime gaming, and I'm not even kidding about that. Final thoughts. To wrap things up, Ananta is one of the most polished, ambitious, and exciting anime game demos I've ever played. It's got cinematic storytelling, deep customization, excellent combat, a dynamic open world, and characters that live and breathe in the game. But that potential also comes with risk. If they don't add replayable systems or multiplayer, it might not have the staying power that it deserves. So even though I'm still saying that, I'm still hopeful for this game. This game could truly be something really special. There were still a bunch of other things I didn't touch on, like working out in the gym or watching movies in the cinema and going on dates with your waifu or husbando, but I think this is enough just for now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited or skeptical? What are you most looking forward to in Ananta? And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because I have more content in the future, such as a translation of this special Ananta edition of Famitsu coming for you, including the developer interview here, along with other previews and other thoughts on the other games I played in TGS, such as Duet Night Abyss and other Tokyo Game Show coverage as well. So I'm kind of just rambling right now, I do apologize. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.